Hello, my name's Jack. I'm a grateful recovered addict. I just want to thank the committee for putting this event on. It's been a wicked event so far, and I just want to thank Steph for asking me to come and share. You know, I'm passionate about this gear, recovery, and especially with the young people stuff, because I walked into my first meeting at 22 years old, and all that was running through my nut at the time was, what am I going to do for the rest of my life without drugs? I don't even drink, and my head's going, what am I going to do for the rest of my life without drink? And the mad thing is, I battled with that for a long time, and I didn't end up getting clean till I was 27. And I can stand up here today and I can be grateful that, you know what, my life's just started at 27. I'm grateful, I'm truly grateful that putting down that one thing, picking up a program of recovery, picking up a faith in a higher power, and I've got my whole life to live today. Do you know what I mean? It's not always easy. My thinking can be chaotic at times, but categorically, I do not have to use a drink or drug if I follow this path. It tells me clearly I've recovered from a hopeless state of mind and body, and I'm grateful, and that's why I introduced myself as a recovered addict, because I no longer suffer with that obsession. I can go into any sordid place. I still go raving, I still go festivals. There's booze in here, there's booze anywhere I go, right? But as long as I stay in fit spiritual condition and I follow this path, and I've got conscious contact with God today, I'm okay. And I'm grateful, truly grateful to be able to say that. I'm truly grateful, I like to start my shares in the same way. It's like, what do I suffer with? Because for a long time, I was in so much pain. And all I'd say is to my old man, to my bird, I don't fucking know why I'm doing this. I wanted to die, but I didn't want to die. All that gear, I didn't know how to express my feelings. And it talks about in the book, incomprehensible demoralization. I'm fucked and I don't know why I'm fucked. I want to stop, but I can't stop. All that, and I went through that treacherous path for a long time, causing carnage. It talks about a tornado for other people's lives, and that was what I was like, especially my loved ones. And I caused absolute carnage, And today I don't have to be like that, and I'm truly grateful. But I like to know what I suffer with, and I like to tell people what I suffer with, and I suffer with an illness of mind and body. And how that materialises for me is when that mental obsession comes on, it knocks anything off the top. It's the top of the path. There's not one thought that can override that. And my head likes to tell me in these just one justification, right? I remember being in hospital in 2022. I had the urologist there, I had the renal team there, and they're going to me, Jack, you've got 10% of your bladder left. Your kidneys are damaged, your kidneys are overworking, you've got jaundice, your liver, your kidneys, and your bladder are fucked. And my head goes, but he didn't say nothing about my lungs and he didn't say nothing about my heart. Yeah, and that's the delusion I suffer with, right? And then what happens next, that mental obsession, then it falls onto the physical allergy. And I ain't got a choice. And I always thought I had a choice with this gear, right? And I never really had a choice. And I didn't know that until I read this book and got taken through with someone armed with the facts about the program and themselves. And once that allergy's gone, the phenomenon of craving kicks in. And I'm off. And I'm off running. And I'm ruining my life and I'm ruining everybody else's in my path. Because my goal is to keep on using. And really, I don't even know how to stop. And that's the truth. So a bit about me and my background, I grew up and I was being in rehab and I heard people's traumas, these mad traumas, and I would sit there and think, I don't really think I've had a lot of that gear. You know what I mean? And I grew up and I got love from both my parents. There weren't no excessive alcohol use. There definitely weren't no drug use in my house. My brother and sister are not addicts. They use with stop and moderation, something that's not in my vocabulary. And and it's all right, you know what I mean? And I grew up and I didn't know that I suffered with this. It'd be a lie for me to stand up and say I felt different as a kid, because at the time when I was a youngster, I didn't feel different. I didn't feel like I had a hole, because what I was doing, my hole was always filled with external gear. So from a youngster, from 9, 10 years old, I was boxing and played cricket at quite a high level. And that was my external gear, which gave me some validation inside and make me feel part of, make me feel full. And I chased that, forever chasing it, up to 16, until I found a drug. And that's the truth. And now I look back, now I've gone through this gear, gone through these steps, and I realise, because I didn't know it at the time, I was just surviving, and sport for me was my ease and comfort, was my solution. And just painting a picture, I used to play cricket, right? And I remember sitting there on a Friday night. We have cricket on a Saturday. And I'd sit there and I'd be staring at the clouds, because if it rains, it's going to get called off, right? And that feeling of them ringing me up saying, or sending a text to my mum saying cricket's called off, was like the drug dealer at 2:15 saying, I ain't coming, mate. That same gear, right? That's how it felt for me. That's how it felt. And I didn't know that at the time because I had nothing to reference it to. But now I look back and I realise, fucking hell, I needed something because sitting with Jack and the way I feel, maybe I weren't too comfortable with, and that's the truth. And I'll make this clear, this is before I become a full-blown addict, right? This is before drugs entered my life. Like I said, I was fixated on sport. Sport was my external solution, and I started smoking a bit of weed, and I didn't do it. It didn't make me feel like I arrived or any of that gear, right? I just done it because I wanted to fit in. My mates at boxing started smoking a bit of weed, and I was like, fuck it, we'll have a go, right? And I remember quickly, I started wanting to try and fit in all that stuff. And my dad's had a safe in his house for a long time, right? And I never even had any drive to steal anything. Why would I, right? I had sport, I had my ease and comfort, I had my solution to life. Why would I need to nick money or anything like that? And I remember one day, I had no money to get weed, right? And I wanted to go out so bad, not even to smoke the weed, but just to be with my friends and feel part of. And I nicked from the safe, and I remember opening the safe, and I nicked the first £50 note, right? And how I explained this stuff at the beginning, this mental obsession, this physicality, I know it's not exactly the same, but for me, if I can put it into my experience, it's the same, because as soon as I nicked that first £50 note, I'd go back and forth and I'd be nicking it. I couldn't fucking stop. And when I'm not nicking it, I'm thinking in my head, I just need one justification, or it'd be the last £50 note I nick. And that is what it was. It was that same, it manifested in the same way. And why am I doing it? Because I've got a problem with self, and I just want to fit in. I just want to be liked, all that stuff, yeah? And that's how it was, and that was the start of my drug using. And I carried on using, and I can't sit here and say them from 15, 16 to 20, 21 was bad. I can't sit here and say that, it'd be a lie. It was fucking wicked, right? It was blinding. I had fucking well good times. But it talks about in this book, it talks about in Bill's story, commenced to forge a weapon to come around like a boomerang and tear me to ribbons, right? And I had to ask, but I identified with that. It's like my using at the beginning was going up, and I was going with it because it was good. I had no consequences, life was good, yeah? And then suddenly it starts coming back on me. And it went from when I wanted to use a drug to when I needed to use a drug. And as soon as I realised I needed to use this gear, right, to do something for me that I couldn't do for myself, I realised I don't really want to be doing this now. But then I couldn't fucking stop. And I went through this same battle. And at about 19, I got beaten up, right, quite badly outside a club. And I broke both my legs. And that changed my life. And all that was because of ego. My mates were having a tear up, and I was so scared of what they think about me, right? If I don't back it or whatever, right? I ended up getting involved, and then on the way home, I got caught on my own, and people jumped out, and I ended up getting my legs broken and all that stuff, and that changed my life, right? I was using just party drugs at that time, and I started, after all my operations, I was on this machine, right, for about 2 months. It's supposed to be an hour on, hour off, hour on, hour off, to keep my legs moving, right? And I remember that fear, that inside me, that self-pity, that demoralisation then. And I didn't even feel like I was fully addicted then, right? I didn't feel powerless, right? But I can identify with how I felt. I felt like my whole life was ripped away from me because the hospital was telling me, I've got diagnosed with rheumatoid psoriatic arthritis. And if we can't get this under control because my joints were quite severely eroding away quite quickly, you're probably going to be in a wheelchair at 30. And for me and my addict jumped on that, right? And this human problem, right, this fear, would just grabbed hold of me. It was already running through me, and it grabbed me. And I remember sitting there, and that's when I started using ketamine. And that's the drug that took me to my knees. And people ask me, when did you start feeling addicted? Like, when do you know you was an addict? People that don't understand addiction, yeah? I'm trying to put it into a layman's terms for them, yeah? And it's like when I wanted to use it, I had a bit of choice, I had a bit of power, control over the fact, yeah? And then it went into I needed to use a drug. And for then, the next 10 years or 8 years was absolute carnage. I mean, absolute carnage, yeah? I can't even open that. 2 secs. I got well bad dry mouth. Yeah, so, yeah, About 19, I started using ketamine daily. And let me just paint the insanity of you, yeah? I got my first bout of ket cramps. So if you know anything about ket, it's quite a road into the gallbladder. And I got my first road of ket cramps, right? And I remember laying on my bed, screaming to my mum, screaming, I need help, I need an ambulance, all that stuff, right? Because I was in absolute agony. Praying to a God I didn't even know, the 999 God, yeah? Praying, help me, I won't ever do this again, all that stuff, right? And the insanity of it was, half hour later it subsides, yeah? And I'm not in pain no more. And my first thought was, you know what, that weren't that fucking bad. Do you know what I mean? This ain't gonna happen to me again. I thought it weren't gonna happen to me again, and that's insane. And sitting there thinking of it is just insane. And I went through these years of absolutely battering myself, thinking that I'm gonna stop soon. I'm gonna stop soon. And I never fucking did. And even so badly, I wanted to stop this stuff, right? I didn't want to carry on using ketamine because of the severe consequences. I could not stop. And slowly but surely, I went from being this social kid out to then going out, just trying to fit in and just trying to be not full of fear. Because what it was then is, as soon as the drugs got hold of me, for me and how I felt, the drugs would do for me what I couldn't do for myself at home, yeah? They'd make, the ketamine especially would make me forget, right? Because I didn't want to be in this head. I hear people talking about psychosis and that, right? And about cocaine. I couldn't do it. Honestly, I could not do it. I could not be in his head. I didn't want to be in his head. All the self-pity, the fear. And I remember having a chat with Frank about this in Holland, and it's the fear of what I think of myself, the fear of what you think of me, the fear of losing something I've got, and the fear of not getting something I want. And that just rings so fucking true to me, you know. I was so scared of what other people think about me when I go out. It just run. It talks about fear being a fabric going through our existence, and looking back now, it just governed me for so long. And to cut a long story short, yeah, with the using stuff, like, I ended up getting addicted to OxyContin and fentanyl off the back of ketamine, right? Because I was in so much pain. And I'd go to the hospital, and I'd tell them how much agony I'm in. And they'd be like, have you stopped? And I'd be like, I can't fucking stop. So what the NHS do, they just smack me on more medication, right? And I didn't know the severity and the power of OxyContin and what it actually was, right? It's fucking glorified smack. And that's exactly what it is. And I'd be there in the end, outside the chemist, right? In my Golf, sitting there watching everyone get their methadone and that, thinking them scumbags. Do you know what I mean? I'm the same. I'm waiting for OxyContin because I'm so physically addicted. And it then even went up. I ended up on fentanyl. You know what I mean? Fentanyl, ketamine and OxyContin. And that was just, for me, just trying to survive. I didn't know anything else. I was just trying to get through the next day, the next day, the next day, the next day. So, I mean, I weren't thinking too far ahead. I had one goal, and that was just to keep using, to keep a little bit of ease and comfort in my life. And in the end, all it ended up was me in my room, like a hermit, sitting there, wearing a nappy at 27 years old. Because what ketamine did, it eroded my bladder, right? I've got 10% of my bladder left now. It never ever get better. And that's the true powerlessness of my using, right? No matter what, I had no choice, power, or control over the matter. And the worst thing is, I did think I had power, choice, or control over the matter. That's the mad thing. And I'd keep using, thinking, do you know what, I'll stop soon. I'll just use one today. All these things, buying ants and put it there and there, trying to moderate or control. But the fact is, I didn't have that in my vocabulary to moderate or control. And the severe consequences of my bladder demoralised me. I'm wearing a nappy at 27. Do you know what I mean? My bird left me. All I had was my mum and dad, right? They loved me, but they fucking hated me. I've stole all their fucking savings. I've done fucking everything. I'm treating their house like a fucking trap house because I'm trying to sell drugs just to keep me going using, right? And that's how it was for me. Overdosing, all this stuff, right? Because I don't know how to live, truthfully. And I didn't even know it at the time. I went to rehab, come back off rehab, and I used straight away because my head told me, they said do a higher power speech, step rehab, yeah? They said do a higher power thing. So I thought, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to say I'm the higher power because I must have willpower because my dad gave up smoking after 40 years on his own. So I must have it in my genes somewhere, right? I come out and I thought, okay, I'll use cocaine because can't use ketamine or OxyContin. Within 2 days, I'm back on it, right? And that's it. That's where I go. And carried on using, carried on all these consequences, all the same stuff. And I went back into rehab again. And this is all funded by my dad, you know. And I can sit there and say, people say to me, yeah, he loved you with money. And that may be right? He loved me with money. But that's all he knew, right? That's all we knew. That's how we was brought up. That's all we knew. And I've done a lot of work around that. So I had a lot of resentment towards my dad until my sponsor told me what's the truth. a lot of resentment till he told me, how do you know how he's been brought up? He's doing it. Has he always been there for you, whether it be money or whether it be nurture? Yes. So why the fuck you moaning then? Yeah. And that's the truth of it. My dad only knew what he could do. And he put me into rehab again. And I come out. And I stopped drugs, right? I was clean, yeah? For the first time, I was clean for 6 months, right? And I generally thought, oh my God. Because my life really got better really fast, right? And I started selling work again. Because my behaviours, I didn't really listen to all the behavioural stuff, right? I just thought, you know what? I've come here to give up ketamine and OxyContin. This has happened. This is a miracle. Yeah, because I actually started to listen to what I wanted to listen to, right? And within a few months, I can't see it, yeah? I'm fucking ill as anything. I'm a dry drunk, right? I'm not using, I haven't got a program. I'm just fixated to money again. And I'm chasing. And at the time, self can't see self. I feel like I'm perfectly fine. I'd sit there in meetings and be like, use lot of crackers, right? In my head, my internal dialogue would be thinking, fucking hell. And I remember my sponsor ringing me up at the time and goes, we're going to get into this step 3 stuff. I said, do you know what, man? I don't think I need it. Do you know what I mean? Honestly, I don't think I need it. He goes, no problem, kind, loving, right? He said, no problem, I'm here when you need me. And I thought, cheeky cunt. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need him, I've just told him I don't need him, right? And and lo and behold, a few weeks later, I lost my license. And to me, that was like the end of the fucking world, right? And my first thought that come in was, you know what, let's just get two for 30 a cat, right? And then if you would have asked me in the morning, you're going to use today, I would have told you, no, I fucking ain't using. There's no way in the world. Open that letter, and it's like my addict went boom, 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 autopilot, I'm off, right? And that was me. And I remember sitting there to my mum and dad that night going, it's just 2 for 30, chill out. It's just 2, right? I won't do it tomorrow. But I set off the allergy and I was gone 8 months. 8 months, it's like I took that first bump and it spat me out at the end. And I remember sitting there that Christmas, right? Staring, 7 stone. I got jaundice. I got 10% of my bladder. I'm wearing a nappy. I'm just sitting there in a nappy. You can picture that, right? 7 stone. I look like a fucking something out of the fucking Step Brothers, right? And I'm 7 stone. I'm yellow. Everyone's playing Monopoly downstairs, right, as families do. And I just remember sitting there staring at this pack of OxyContin and these patches of fentanyl thinking, do you know what? I've been rehab. I've done CA. What else have I got? What else is there? I've done rehab. What more is there for me to do, right? What can I do? Because no one can fucking help me. My mum and dad can't help me. I clearly can't help myself. Where else is there? Where am I supposed to go? And you know what? At first time, I really thought, I've never really been suicidal, right? And then I just looked at myself and thought, you know what? It seems, for the first time, it seemed fucking hell. This seems plausible. And you know what? Looking back on it now, I didn't want to kill Jack. I wanted to kill the addict inside because I'm trying to control something I can't fucking control. And it's just stringing me along like a puppet everywhere. And I just fed up, absolutely fed up. And I went back into rehab again. And my dad, funded by my old man again. I went through the rattle, done a detox, done all that stuff, and I come out. And while I was in there, I really realised that, you know what, something needs to change, right? That gift of desperation. I had that gift of desperation this time, that GOD stuff, right? I genuinely believed I had it. And it just happened inside me, because all these rock bottoms it talks about, right? I was looking at the external rock bottom thinking, when is it going to get worse? How worse can it get? Do you know what I mean? I feel like I'm at the bottom. The next step for me is death, right? And I realised it was that internal stuff, right? I had to get to that point internally where something changes and something clicks, and I was at that turning point. Where do I go now? Do I die or do I make a change, right? And I was in rehab and I got a call from a sober living place, all sorted out behind my back. And then I was at that turning point and I thought, the geezer goes, would you like to come to the sober living after treatment? And I was like, no. But something inside me, right, just went, yeah, go on. Fear, full of fear. I thought they're all going to be junkies with fucking all that stuff, right? I'm a fucking junkie. What am I even judging for? And that's the truth of it, right? Any excuse, any bit of excuse, I need to get out of it. But something governed me. Like the addict took me to use that bag of kit that after that 8 months, right? it's like something inside me, that God consciousness just drove me, right? And I just went, yeah. No matter how much fear was in my head, something from my gut, something from my heart just drove me that way. And I said, go on, I'm going to do it, right? And I finished the treatment. I rocked up to Southend. All I had was a suitcase, PIP and universal credit to my name, right? And that's it. And it felt all right then, you know. I didn't have fuck all to lose. So I mean, my thinking weren't too bad because I was fucking demolished. I was broken. I had nothing to give. All I had was that little glimmer of hope inside. When I look back and think, you know what, them people in their meetings, how fucking blocked off was I? Because they seemed quite happy, you know. And I went into Southend and I rocked up, and the people in the dry house, I don't give them enough credit. They took me under their wing, right? And they said, Geez, it'll be all right. Just come to the meetings. And already I get there the first night, I'm like, no, I'm going to drop this one out, yeah? I won't go this one. But you know what? They were persistent. They said, come on. So I went to my first meeting of Cocaine Anonymous on a Tuesday night. And when I walked into that room, it was the first time I see something different from my own eyes, right? That gift of desperation, that step before the step as it talks about, right? That just opened my spirit up a little bit, right? That blockage to my spirit, right? And it was able to let the people in that meeting draw a bit of fucking energy and a bit of light into me, right? And I would sit there and looked in the meeting and thought, fucking hell, these look happy. For the first time, and it was the first time my ego wasn't there, and it was something else inside me to go, do you know what, I want a bit of that, and I'm not scared to go, listen, boys, I'm fucked. And I went in there and I listened, and all I heard was how happy everyone was. I weren't looking for the differences for the first time. I was looking for the similarities, and I was actually looking for the message of hope, and I got that message of hope, and I started embarking on the steps. I went straight in there, I got a sponsor in my first few meetings, and I felt something inside me change, right? I felt, even this is before I even done step 1 in the book, I realised, fucking hell, just through it's like I came to believe then, right? A power greater than myself. Me on my own, I'm fucked. But 2 years, 20 years, there's the power. And when you're all telling me that I'm clean, I'm 5 months, I'm clean, I'm 16 years, how the fuck can I deny that? Whether it's higher power, God, whatever you want. Because God scared me out of this stuff for a long time, right? I saw the word God and I thought, fuck this. But drugs scared me back in, exactly what James said yesterday. I need to be more worried about the actual substance, right? I'm more worried about the problem at hand, not this. Because I need any justification, and I'm like, know what, I'll take a step back of that. And I started embarking on the steps. I already understood my powerlessness and that inward unmanageability, right? My thinking, the way I am, I'm full of fear. It's driven by 100 forms of fear, and like I said, fear governed me, right? Full of resentment. I just want the world to be how Jack wants the fucking world. If everything's, Mum, would you just let me use in your ass, I'll be all right. Do you know what I mean? I know I don't pay rent, but still just let me fucking use, right? Let me sell drugs from the ass. It's okay. I'm earning money. And that's how it was. And as soon as these thoughts come and they have a little bit of tangible power within me, I don't know how to deal with them, and I get all crippled inside. And my first solution to life was to just go and use a drug, and that's it. And then step 2, like I just said, I came to believe there and then. I generally came to believe. I generally thought, you know what? These have got something that I want. Do you know what I mean? And I thought, let me just go with it. Let me just trust the process. I already had that faith. And when it said made the decision to turn our will and our lives over to God as God, I thought, what the fuck have I got to lose, though? Really, what have I got to lose, right? Because he's telling me he's 16 years clean and he believes in God. And the mad thing is as we understand it, I was so ignorant that I saw the word God and I missed it as we understand it. So it could be a God personal to me. So why am I even trying to give some sort of plausible excuse? And then what that done for me then, I made a decision, but my sponsor was adamant that means we need to now put in action. We don't make a decision and God starts just doing madness. What he's done for me already was he stopped me. He's done for me what I could not do for myself. He took away that mental obsession to use or drink or drug. Now it's a bond, right? He gives me the strength. I put in the action. And that's what I've done through step 4 to 9. I realised the conduct. I realised that to look at my conduct and then clear the wreckage of my past. And I remember, you read these step 9 promises, you'll be amazed before you're halfway through, right? I remember getting to step 6, my sponsors told me how much of a selfish, inconsiderate, absolute cunt I am. And I thought, this ain't amazing, is it? Do you know what I mean? This is definitely not amazing. Okay, I just walked out of there with my head down and I'm thinking, fucking hell, this is carnage. Because I truthfully didn't see that. I had all these resentment down and I went there with my chest held high and I thought, I'm going to let him have this. Let him have this. It took us 4 hours to get through 4 resentments because I weren't having it. Yeah? I couldn't see it though. I'm like, just tell me, he's like, just leave then. I'm like, I need to understand, yeah? But that's me, I'm argumentative, right? Because I can't see self. Self can't see self, right? A few minutes, no problem. And yeah, I carried on. And I got through and I made my amends. I've still got some ongoing amends to do. And it was powerful to get to that step 10, 11 and 12. And that's where I try to live today. And spirituality, contingent on fit spiritual condition for me, right, is God gives me the opportunity. He gives me the opportunity today to make the right choice, right? I've got to have conscious contact with God. But God doesn't take me out of my defects, right, fully, right? I get a choice. He will give me an opportunity to be patient. He will give me an opportunity to be tolerant. And it's what do I do with that? And if I'm working the 10, 11, 12 properly, and I'm watching for fear, resentment, anger, self-pity, when it comes, my sponsor said it's in the fucking post. This is a human problem, it's coming. It's not because you get this program, you're gonna be without fear, without resentment, without anger. It's all coming. So I have to watch for that, right? And it tells me the spiritual practices, ask, when it comes, I've got to ask, discuss, and then turn. And then when I've been following them, it fucking works, because this book's a guide and it tells me what to do when I need to do it. I read it like a book at first, 164 done, sweet. I didn't know fuck all. But the mad thing is, it's a guide, it tells me where to go, what to do, when I need to do it. And then there's 11, prayer and meditation. I hated meditation at first, but through discipline, I don't always feel motivated, right? I don't always feel motivated. It's a feeling, right, motivation. But discipline is something, a skill that I've learned over the 20 months I've been clean, right? And I'm learning to keep doing it. And now, do you know what? Meditation and prayer for me gives me ease and comfort the same as ketamine gives me ease and comfort. And that's my truth. And then I go out there on step 12 and I share a message and I help others. And it's exactly what James said last night, you know. Step 12 for me is a powerful, and I get true. Warms my heart, right, to doing step 12 and helping others and seeing their lights come on. And it also warms my heart when they argue as well, because I think, fuck it, that was me, wasn't it? Wicked, you know what I mean? And I love it. And it helps me and it helps them. I work in a treatment centre, and I know that's not service, but I try and live this gear in all my life. Do you know what I mean? It ain't even a 12-step treatment centre, and I'm in there bashing the big book. Because that's what worked for me, and I know if you're the chronic addict of my type, without no power, choice, and control, this will work for you. There ain't no one who's suffering that this will not work for. I wrap it up. It's like life. I suffer with a human condition, right? I'm full of fear, like I said, full of anxiety. I overthink everything. I've just started seeing a bird, and that's called absolute carnage at 20 months. I'm constantly looking at the phone every 2 minutes. Why hasn't she replied? What have I said? All that stuff, right? And that's how it is, right? Because I suffer with it, overthinking, all that stuff. And I have to realise that that's a component of alcoholism, but it's not my illness, right? I'm a cover for my illness. Now, this human condition, I need to just work on it. Keep discipline, maintaining fit spiritual growth. This is progression, not perfection. I'll have to just keep grafting, keep trying, keep being accountable. I've got corner men in here, and all my corner men are in here today. And I'm lovely to see them, the 4 of them, they're all there. And they're the people, I love everyone in CA, yeah? I don't get on with everyone in CA, but I've got these people that I speak to and I fully trust. I don't trust a lot of people, but I fully 100% trust them as well as I trust God today. Life's all right today, you know. It's much better than I ever thought it would be. I'm 28, and I get to live a whole different life, a whole nother life. I'm going through, I work in a treatment centre, I'm doing counselling, I'm doing my last couple of years on counselling. I've got to pay tax, I've never paid tax in my life. I mean, I've got a car today, I've got my licence back, all this external stuff, right? I've got my own flat, pay council tax as well, fucking hell. But do you know what? Most of the time, if I'm doing this programme as it tells me to do, I've got peace. But when I'm in the driving seat, I seem to fucking get rid of it because I don't want to take control. But when I relinquish control, and I talk to my peers, I talk to my cornermen, and I have a conscious contact with God, life's all right today. And just a spiritual awakening, a full psychic change. I was addicted to pretty much every prescription drug, yeah? Especially opioids. I administer opioids in a treatment centre today. And I don't have no obsession to use opioids. Thank you.